Yep.
Peace,
Welcome,
peace, peace.
welcome
Can you
to
hear
the
me?
You and I Verse podcast. And this is your host, Bleak, and you know I'm with Venus, the
The
goddess.
effervescent Venus, a
You
goddess.
know it,
Peace,
you
my
know it.
loves.
And listen, we got something good for you guys out there, guys and gals out there. And today we're getting to the importance of self-mastery. And this is going to be one that you want to stick around for. Take notes, get your pen and paper, and get your popcorn ready. What's
Listen,
up, Venus?
I would say get your popcorn ready, get your favorite beverage ready. This is the content that we should be consuming. This is the information that we should be consuming, and I was excited. I'm always not always, but most times I'm excited,
Right.
especially when we go on live. So I'm definitely excited.
Yeah.
Greetings to all the family coming in. Peace, peace, peace. Make sure when you come in, you just say hey, say peace, hey, love, hey. Let us know that you are here, whether you are our Facebook family, YouTube family, TikTok family, Instagram family. Make sure you communicate with us, right? We vibe, we vibe.
Absolutely. How's your week been? Or your weekend?
Ah, peaceful. You know what? I can honestly say that I am in the most peaceful place that I have been in thus far in my journey of circling around the block, the sun block.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah.
mine been
I
a
don't
little
I
rough.
don't
I've
I
been under
don't
the
do
weather.
birthdays, but how you been? How was your week? How's your weekend?
I, well, it's been a little rough. I was under the weather a little bit, but you guess what? I'm coming through and I'll be all right. I'm not gonna complain about it. It's gonna get better. But
Yeah,
we got
facts.
some things to get into. We're gonna get some things to get into. So um for those who don't know, me and Vince, we came together to put together the You and I Verse podcast to share in our journey of pretty much growth and going through this journey of enlightenment. And we don't mind teaching what we learn, and we still on that path of learning ourselves. Um,
Facts. Forever students.
so we got a lot of things to get into. I'm excited about our first season. This is our first show, and we gonna get into it. Venus, all I gotta do is ask you to turn the music down just a little bit so we won't get flagged.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah,
It's all
y'all done
good.
entered my jazz zone with
Yeah.
okay. How is that?
It's all good. You good. You good now.
A little more? Do I need to cut
But
it
yeah.
down a little more?
Mm. No, let me see. Nah, you cool now.
Okay, good. Okay, good. You
You
know,
good.
I,
You
I
good.
need the
You good
instruments. I
now.
need the live instruments. It helps raise these
Nah,
vibrations.
it's all
We're
good.
about to get into it.
Yep. So you want to kick this off with the when you bring up the slides, or you got something to say first?
Listen, I'm
Oh, I
always
guess we
ready. What's up, fam? What's up?
she always
I
so
like,
hype.
yeah, I like the way he said that. I gotta
Oh, let's
calm down.
bring up the
I need to
comments.
woosah.
Okay. Nah, it's all good. No,
I
you
should,
don't. We need that energy.
I should woosah. Listen. My energy is going. I'm hype. I got the instruments going over here. I'm excited to be with my bro. Okay. We discussed a
Yeah.
lot on the back end. So to kick this off, how about it? All things self mastery.
Yeah.
All things self mastery.
I-
Bleak, how many times have you heard someone say or mention mastery? Self mastery. You got to master
oh
yourself. How
yeah.
many times you've heard that term?
We always hear it, especially in this field. That's going to be a common theme, but I think it's a theme that a lot of people don't really dive into, like exactly what it means and how do we go about mastering self. I mean, it's thrown
Right.
around, but I guess the way to get there isn't. But I think the reason being is it's a lot of different ways to get there, and
Hmm.
no one
Right.
is no one one answer to that. And also, it's a never ending journey. It's constant growth with continuing to master stuff because we're all human and we tend to slip off of I guess our high horse at some point in time, right?
We slip and slide, but it is all good though. But you're absolutely right. Self mastery, the term self mastery, mastering self, is a pretty relative, like it's a new term, right? And
Right,
it hasn't even been spoken about in terms of it being called self mastery until about maybe less than I'll say six years ago. But now we're starting to see this huge buzz, right? It's
right,
just like hearing a lot about entering into the Aquarian age, right? It's the age of information,
right.
right? It's almost like that buzzword. However, since I've been teaching for 15 plus years, self mastery has been in my language, in my vocabulary, in my mental for more than 15 plus years now, right? Perhaps a little longer, but 15 sounds like a good number.
Right.
It's a little over that, but nosy folk will be wanting to tell my age. So
Like, damn, you
15,
been teaching this long?
yeah, exactly. Black don't crack unless you participating in the
Let's say
festivities.
unless you smoke it, huh? They say black don't crack unless you smoke it.
Listen, let's get serious because me and you together.
I already know. They'll find out. They'll find out.
So
Like, are y'all
listen,
teaching or y'all just having fun up here? Like, what's going on?
both. Both.
Both.
It doesn't. Both. I mean,
It
we
entails both.
flow. Yeah, it entails both. And you know what the great thing about it, self mastery is. Before I actually get into it, is that when you understand how to trust the flow, you start to learn
Right.
what it really means to live, to breathe, to thrive in your authentic self. My goodness,
Right.
tongue
Right.
twister. Yo, I'm thinking about authenticity, but that wouldn't have
Right.
been the correct grammar. You see what I mean by that? When we're not just like
Hmm.
go flow and then the words and everything is getting mixed up, but it's so liberating, right? And so this episode, our very first episode, when me and Bleak was figuring out, like, okay, what we gonna talk about, right? And I thought it because both of us talk about self mastery, we teach about self mastery, right? And you're right. There's so many people throwing around the term, and there's less core information about what is self mastery. And so
Right.
hopefully we're going to be uncovering and putting into perspectives some of the misnomers, right? Misnomers about self-mastery. And so the importance of self-mastery, we both thought that it would be a profound way to start off and introduce you and diversity, because you and diversity is all about experimenting, exploring, experiencing. And one of the primary reasons is because everything that we want, everything that we need, everything that we desire, the core of that is self mastery. And so, before we get into this evening show, let's get down to some housekeeping before we get into it. Okay, make sure, because listen, we just say you and I versity. So this is your versity. This is your show just as much as it is ours. Okay, so make sure you support us, not just us, it's us. Support us, subscribe, share it out to your friends, to your family, because what we feed will gain power and what we starve will lose power. And it's high time we start feeding positivity, positive power, good, wholesome information. Make sure you comment. Feel free to communicate with us. We won't bite. We love to engage. Like,
Right.
we are also
And the like ain't
streaming.
gonna hurt you.
It ain't. It's just a tapping of the fingers, baby. Get them fingers moving in the right places. Okay, y'all know what I'm talking about for y'all nasty folks. Get them fingers tapping. Okay, and we're also streaming on most podcast platforms. Um, your favorite.
It's
At
right
you
there.
and
It's right
I Versity
there at the
7.
bottom.
Oh, we got
It's right
that.
there
We got.
scrolling
He got.
across the
See.
bottom.
Okay, so teamwork make you and I verse work. Okay, teamwork make you
There
and
you
I
go.
verse work. So also I want to mention, and this is going to be a special, because typically Bleak and
I
I
can
don't
still.
really
I'm
talk
sorry.
about. Go ahead, love.
Real quick, Venus. I can still hear the music. I don't know.
Okay,
Is it something coming through? Yeah, something coming through. I
I
could
can hear
barely
it
hear
because
it, but I just
it's me.
okay.
Well, you're supposed to barely hear it. That's the whole point. Long as you can't hear it over me.
No, I couldn't, but
Listen, your ears are just keen, and it don't
Nah,
help
it's
that you
these,
got
you
all
know
of
what
that
it
high,
is?
sophisticated
That's what I'm
equipment
saying.
over there.
That's really what it is. I can hear. I'm like, I hear music.
Yeah, he hear everything, every little drop. Okay, we want a little bit of vibe going on. Okay, some of y'all come over here on YouTube and tell Bleak it's okay. Let's
Listen, to
get.
be honest, I don't listen. I don't mind it, but I know these damn platforms do. So
That's
you
why I
know,
set it to an instrumental because they don't really flag instrumental
but you
sounds.
know, we can listen. Let me show you real quick. I know we live and everything, but you know,
Bleak, not right now.
well, I ain't gonna do
Let's.
nothing right now. All I'm saying
Oh,
is we can put music. We could put some music on here, and it'll be. I mean,
okay. Well,
basically,
let's do that because I need to hear a little bit of
yeah.
natural sounds,
If
melody.
you
It
send me the music, if you send me the music, I could it could be playing because it's the music that, and it'll sound more, you know. But
for you
anyway,
for
just
your okay.
I mean for everybody.
I mean, if it's fine for me,
Yeah,
is it fine
for
for y'all? My TikTok family is it good? Listen, let's get back into it.
yes, ma'am.
Um, on the
Let's go.
back end, I know I get DMs sometimes asking, "Is good?" Yes, thank you, Quiet Storm. See, Quiet Storm said it's good, my love. It's good. Just rock
Of
out.
course, then they ain't quiet storm. They,
I love
of
Quiet Storm.
course,
I love her name. So listen, on the back end, on a serious note, right? I'm not gonna act like we don't need your support. Sometimes I get DMs in the background asking, what's my Cash App, what's my PayPal, how can I support? There are a lot of people out there that want to support financially and they want to pour into people, places, and things that they know is going to be helpful and is for the betterment and the upliftment of people. And so, if you click our link, if you ever are led to donate any amount, whether it's 50 cents, whether it's $50, whether it's $5,000, we speaking that into existence, you are more than welcome to click the link in a bio and you will see different ways in which you can donate to us to help us expand this platforms because the more we grow, the more we'll be able to invest in us. We have tons and tons of things that we want to do in the future, and starting this podcast is going to be the catalyst to that. Right. And so, all things self
absolutely.
mastery. I'll mention this a little later. I just in the beginning, in the beginning, all things self mastery book club. I just wanted to let you know, PSA, that is going. We're going to be getting started on the 10th. So make sure you register for that really, really soon. You don't want to miss that. The first book we're going to be covering is the Kabbalion. I already have a couple of registries. So make sure you register for that. Bleak, what you got going
Yes,
on
ma'am.
over there that you want to remind the family of?
Pretty much same things. You know, I got the other two podcasts that's going on. One of them is the Bleak Reality, which is my self-hosted podcast, where I will have different guests from different walks of life, mostly within the metaphysics realm and spirituality. Um, but I get into a lot of future tech, futurist stuff too, as well. So that one's a little bit, I mean, I can say a little bit interesting. It's interesting to me, and I think a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people find it interesting because it's a blend of the metaphysical world going into the future. So it's cool. And the other one is Out the Frame, which is co-hosted by my boy Akil Ali, and that one is more like surface level talk, a lot of hip hop, sports, what have you.
Mm-hmm.
um, but it's cool. That
It
one is
really is. It's a
yeah,
breakaway from the mixing up the vibes because we're
yeah,
so
yeah,
multifaceted, and
yep,
so I love Out of the Frame, and it's like we are us. We're not just catering to just a specific group of people per se.
right.
Like we into a lot of it. We're being true to ourselves, and so the guest that he have on his Out the Frame podcast is really exceptional. Y'all got to check it out when y'all get a chance. It's really really dope.
Yep, and you can find all both of those on YouTube, um, YouTube, Apple, and Spotify, Google. Everywhere that podcast is shown, and yeah, TikTok. Everything. You know what I mean. So you can find it everywhere. But yeah, you know. Me and
Ashe,
Venus.
ashe.
This is the, but to me, this is the one. This is the
It's our
one.
baby.
Yeah.
Definitely our baby. This is definitely our baby. So y'all ready to hear some nuggets? Y'all ready to get into it? You ready, Bleak?
Yes, yes, ma'am. Let's go.
I don't know what song in my head was like, you ready? You ready?
You ready?
Some you ready? We ready. Self-mastery. What is it? Have you ever asked yourself some tough questions? Like, what is self-mastery? What does it mean? What does it entail to get to the next level? What does it mean when we talk about our higher self, when we talk about higher states of consciousness, when we talk about awareness, when we talk about energy, when we talk about metaphysics and science, and when we speak about, being successful, when we think about living our dreams, whatever you can imagine. If you've ever asked yourself questions like that, and perhaps, why do I keep doing the same things? Why do I keep attracting the same people, place, and things? I guarantee you that until you have a grips and a better understanding on what self mastery is, and this is why we decided to make this first episode and talk a little bit about self mastery, because until you understand this, and until you apply the principles and practices that you learn, the life that you desire to live is going to seemingly get further and further and further away from you, as well as the lessons that you're supposed to learn. So we're going to go over some foundational things, right? Because sometimes many of us, we just want to, pop our life in a microwave like we a bag of popcorn, and just like, hey, couple of seconds, I hear the pops, and we not done. Like, our life is not a bag of popcorn. Our life is not pizza, right? We have to understand what self-mastery is. And first, let's talk about what understanding is. Understanding, right? And remember, everything is frequency, everything is energy. And so everything that you say also matters, right? And so when I was quote unquote immature, when I started out in my journey, I started to realize, well, when I was advanced, once I started growing, reverse that in my journey, I started to realize that there was a difference between understanding something and understanding something, right? As well as understanding, right? And so understanding is about having a deep intuitive knowing of ourselves and others, as well as our experiences. Why is this so important? When it comes down to attracting what and who you desire, creating the life that you want, forging healthy relationships, when you do not understand who you are, which is going to come from you remembering who you are, not just you in the flesh. Like, a lot of us just think that we are the names with Bleak, with Venus, with Quiet Storm. We're all of these different names, right? And we're all of these different accolades, and we're all of these different degrees, and we're everything else physical. But until you understand who you are internally, you won't really get a grasp or deep understanding about pretty much everything in your life. And so comprehension of one's triune essence is important. What do I mean by triune essence? We are part mental, part soul, spirit, and part physical. And self mastery is about awareness, intelligence, knowledge, information, wisdom, and discipline. Hence, this is why many of us are not really gaining the fundamentals, right? And the catalyst of why, right? I'm always talking about the why we keep doing the things that we're doing. And then we're having the same conversations over and over and over again. But as soon as somebody calls us insane, we ready to beat them up like they stole our bike, when all they're really doing is telling the truth. Isn't that the destined? I mean, let me know, Blake. Isn't doing something over and over and over again the definition of insanity?
Oh yes, for sure. And that's the thing. A lot of people get caught in this I guess this treadmill of life, so to speak. And it's like you just kind of running on autopilot. And I'm gonna get into a little bit more of that, down the road a little bit in this
Yes.
yeah, so yeah. But I agree with
Yes.
you 100%.
Yeah, that's what it's about, the awareness. And we're arguing. I said this in a previous live I was in. Like we had a conversation over and over, Bleak, as well as the family that's with us. We hear the going back and forth. We hear about who's right and who's wrong. We hear about who's supposed to be in leadership, man or woman. We're hearing about and talking about religion and all of the land and politics and government and all of these different things. And you know what the deeper root is? While we keep repetitively running on this hamster wheel going nowhere, we still lack understanding.
Absolutely.
And we're unknowingly submitting our minds, our bodies, our souls, our divine frequency to continually be ciphered out. And then we wondering why we're so destructive right now. We're wondering why the quote unquote the world seems to be in chaos, which is not true, right? We don't understand a lot of things regarding self-mastery. We don't understand language syntax. Like what most of us are literally cursing our very lives, our very children lives, the people who you love. You are literally cursing your reality, hexing your reality, putting spells on your reality, and you don't understand what you're doing. However, I'm I'm so adamant and passionate about teaching self-mastery because whether you know it or not, no one can violate the law called correspondence and attraction, the law of cause and effect. You're going to get exactly what you give.
Exactly. It's still gonna happen regardless if you are aware of it or not, and that's the thing
Yes,
that people need to
facts.
understand. Like it's just like it's no different than the law of gravity. You can try to jump off the roof if you want to, and that law is still, you're still gonna obey that law whether you think you could fly or not, right?
Yeah, it's gonna affect you, right? And
Right.
and and a lot that I was teaching, I gave an example because we like to see and hear examples, right? That I think they are
Mhm.
best, one of our best and greatest examples, right? When I was young, I didn't really know much about sex. I didn't really know much about boyfriend and girlfriend, or husband and wife, or the anatomy. I didn't know much, right? However, fast forward, I made a decision, right? I made a decision to lay down with that man. And guess what? I mean, I heard that you can have a baby from having sex. I heard about all of these things, right? I didn't know enough. Know enough. I didn't have a clue. Like many of us parents who
Right.
became parents at a very young age, we were still babies ourselves. I say that to say this. When you understand that you are not excluded from universal principles and laws, and we're going to be talking about these hermetic principles in the book club. When you understand these laws, you will know that you're not excluded. It doesn't matter if you're ignorant or not. It doesn't matter if you're unaware or not. It doesn't matter if you're intentional or unintentional. None of these things matter when it comes to divine laws, because what you give is what you're going to
You
attract.
know what that leads people to say?
What
Life
is it?
ain't fair.
Oh
That's
my
what leads
goodness.
people. That's what leads people to
Here
say life
comes
ain't fair
right. And
because
there go the excuses and ramifications and
exactly,
justifications. I'm only human,
right. And life ain't fair.
right?
But that's the thing. We no, like you said, no one is excluded from the ramifications of these universal principles and laws. No one.
No, no one.
You
It
know.
doesn't matter whether you're a young person. Now, as far as my knowledge goes, when you come to the maturity, the mental maturity, right? And you're able to start making decisions and you're conscious of those decisions, that's when I think the universal laws and principles, right, really apply to you,
Oh
right?
yeah, for
As far
sure.
as my extensive, because when you're kind of like, I know when you're a baby, when you're just coming in up until the age of probably like maybe one, I'll say. And I know the mind is very impressionable, it's like a sponge. But when you start to realize, when you start practicing self mastery, you also include different, your other parts of your essence, your triune essence, and not just the
Right.
physical part. Because if we just dwelling off of the physical part, going off of the physical part, pardon me, it's all about the biology,
Right.
right?
You
But
know what I come to find. I don't mean to cut you off, but
mhm,
I come to find that to be very true. because being on this path, I mean, for a long time at that, I found out a lot of times I tend to suffer more because I knew better. And
Mm.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
the gravity of the
yeah, it's like
consequences hit different.
it does.
The
I
more
mean,
you know, the gravity of those consequences, they hit different. Like I listen,
right,
in my universal age now, I say, listen, give me a physical skippity pap and I'll take a physical skippity pap. I pick a belt,
man.
pick a switch, pick a branch,
That
okay?
spiritual that spiritual beat down
Because those
is different.
spiritual skippity paps, they
It hit
ain't nothing to
different.
play with. They
You're gonna be, I mean, to be honest, I think that's when things like depression and
they hit,
stuff like
yeah.
that sets in.
There
Yeah.
you go. There you go. There you go. They hit different. Consider this, my loves.
Depression, or is it compression? Because it feels like
Both.
it's that, you know what I mean?
It's
Because
both.
the atmospheric pressure that's, because it's like it's,
It's
it's like you
both.
get deep.
It's both. You're experiencing it, and you're not only experiencing it on a physical level, you're also
Hmm.
experiencing it on a mental level and on a spiritual level, right? And so that's
Right.
something that we cannot avoid. Every decision that you make, every choice that you make, and you move forward is like a pebble thrown in a pond. The severity of the ripples is going to be determined and dictated by the weight of your decision. It doesn't matter if it's small or grand. It doesn't matter how minute it is. It doesn't matter how grandiose it is. It's going to cause a rippling effect. And so when we are wondering why, right?
Right.
Why are so many so deeply depressed? Like, why are so many suicidal? Why are so many dysfunctional? Why are so many of us crashing and burning? Don't we want to get to the core of things, or are you just satisfied with just talking about it, bitching about it,
Right.
moaning about it, arguing about it? Nothing is changing. That's changing nothing. Arguing
Right.
about whose statistic is right or wrong. Arguing about where you got. Look at the reality, not even everybody else's, but just look at the state of your reality, baby. Receipts don't lie. The energetic receipts don't lie. It's going to tell you everything. And so when you don't first have a deeper understanding of what self-mastery is, and yes, it's a journey. Is it going to be uncomfortable at times? Absolutely. Is it going to require you to make an investment in yourself? Absolutely. Energetically, physically, financially, right? It's going
Right.
to require an investment because you don't know what you don't know. You cannot possibly graduate from the 12th grade if you're still in the first grade, whether you know it or not. And so when you do not invest in finding someone that is an expert in whatever area you want to grow and you want to develop and you want to master in, nothing really isn't going to change. And we see the evidence of that pretty profoundly. Pretty
Right.
profoundly.
Right.
So the why is self mastery so important? That's the
Check your
you know
private
this
message real quick
this
before
is
we get into the why.
oh I gotta pay attention.
Yeah.
You are so annoying.
I know, but I don't.
My goodness, is it better? I'm gonna put you on First
Not,
Street.
yeah.
Is
I
it
mean,
better?
yeah.
Oh my goodness,
Only
it's
only
so
re-
low.
I know, but trust me, when we put it up there, it's gonna be like,
Okay.
that's all.
Ah, yeah. We listen. We're gonna have to have our own on offline conversation about that, right? So, all right, I get it. I understand. Thank you for reminding me. The why. This is perhaps my favorite question, right? And I understand that we have different perspectives. It's all about perspectives. It's all about perspectives and perception. That will ultimately determine your 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 journey to and in self-mastery and a practice of it, your perception and your perspective, because how you perceive a thing is how you attract the thing. Understand? How you perceive it is how
Right.
you attract it. And so when you start to have 3D perspectives, you start to understand a lot more. And since we're on YouTube, let me and I oftentimes I do this exercise. I think it's really cool. It's a really fun way I get people just to ask themselves a question like on a deeper level. So if I was to hold this symbol up to you, what would you say? What would you say it is, Bleak?
Right. It's, I mean, a
It's
six,
no
right?
right or wrong. It's just okay.
It's
So
a
you see a
six.
six.
It
What do
it
you
could
say
be a
six on
G.
Facebook?
It could be a G.
Right, right. You know how many people though that I've ever shared this with, like did this little example with, say, "Oh, it's a six." Many of them
Right.
said it's a six. Many of them said it was a nine. Many of them said it was an E. Like I understand, like it really don't matter. It really don't matter how I
But say it was
actually
nothing
write it.
there. There.
Yeah, it just disappeared magic.
Well, I thought you did something for real. Like, hold on. What's the
No, like it really don't matter how I actually write it, right? It really
right?
don't matter how I actually write it. It depends on the person perceiving
Yeah,
what
the
the
perspective.
image is. Because your perspective and what you're perceiving from verbal language, body language, audio language is how you're
Right.
going to interpret it, how your mind is going to interpret it. Therefore, this is the frequency and energy in the ways in which you're going to attract it. Very few people said that it was an angle. It wasn't a six, it wasn't a nine, it wasn't an E, it wasn't a G, it was simply an angle. Like this is where we
Right.
get into geometry, right?
Yeah.
The flower of life. There's symbols within symbols, shapes within shapes. And the more you expand your perception and your perspective, baby, listen, the more you can master yourself and master your reality. So when I talk about the why, I'm not just talking about surface level shit that we see that is
Right.
easy to see with these reflectors. I'm talking about the why that you cannot visually see. I'm talking about the internal why that you cannot see. The core and the catalyst. I don't know how many cars you've seen with it where the engine was exposed and you can see all of the intricacies about the engine. No, but you know it's there.
Right.
You know it's something that's fueling the car to be mobile. So why your self-mastery is so important? Again, until you understand the why, the inner why, the core why, things will not change, not for you or your loved ones, and you will not ascend. You will continually descend, and you will. It's like the infinite school of life. You will continually repeat the same grade over and over and over and over again until you understand what self mastery is and with the fundamentals that we're speaking about, right? So let's make it make sense. The core reasons as to why we are behaving the way we behave, the core reasons as to why our behavior patterns are the way they are. Why are we
Mm-hmm.
doing what we're doing? Especially while we continually do that which we
Mm-hmm.
don't want to do, but more of what we actually don't want to do. Like, let's make that make sense. The why we have traumas, the why we're still playing out our traumas, the why we're so fearful of our traumas, the why of our enslavement, especially mental enslavement. Because guess what? He who controls the mind controls the body, and he is not perspective to a male. He
Right.
means you, me, one, everybody. The why we keep warring against each other. Man, that's a huge
That's a
one.
big yeah. It's ongoing. It's on and popping right now.
It's
But you
crazy.
know what that is though? We warn against each other because we're warring with ourselves. Again,
And there you go, Bleak.
so once we get back to, self mastery, and we understanding that when I try to fight you, I'm really fighting myself. That's what it is, because we all one, and people don't really realize that, because universal consciousness means that we are all attached to each other on a conscious level.
That's
So
profound.
what we see on the outside is a direct reflection of what's going on the inside, from racism to war to poverty to the other things that we look at and glorify, as far as um wealth and people having it
Yes,
all. We're all capable of having both. So we can be poor in the mind, poor in spirit, or we could be rich in the heart and wealthy in the mind. So it just depends on what we want to experience, and that's what is the most important, is to get back to that understanding of being so self-aware and self-conscious that what
Yes,
we wish to be the reflection of what we want to be ultimately. It we,
absolutely.
we we all have it. We all have the opportunity to become the worst person on this planet, or the highest. So it's up to us.
You're
you know
absolutely right. We people that come into your life is either going to do two things. They're going to reflect where you are currently, your frequency, and it's manifested within their actions. So if you have knowingly or unknowingly low self-esteem, guess what? There's going to be a lot of people that's going to come into your life to reflect your low self-esteem. Only you're not understanding what's actually going on, right? Or they're going to be individuals that come into your reality. Hence, they're still a reflection of you. They're just a reflection of your higher you, right? And so what you reflect, you project. Understand? Just
exactly.
like in the movie theater, what you reflect, you project. So whatever you're looking at in your reflection, this is what's going to be projected on the screen. Hence your reality. This is what's being played out. And so this is also what self-mastery is about, right? Why are we so at the core? Why are we addicted to the things that we're addicted to? Right?
Mm.
Many of us speak about emotional intelligence, but yeah, a lot of us, I'm just gonna keep it sweet and keep it nice and keep it truthful. Many of us talking about emotional intelligence don't have an inkling of a clue what actual emotional intelligence is.
Man,
You
I just
don't
seen
know what's
someone.
going on inside you.
Yeah, I just seen someone say something about that the other day, and I really wanted to ask them, like, okay, what do you mean by this? Because I knew they did not have a clue. Because
It be getting tough, right?
within,
Not to
yeah, within,
respond
yeah, but
sometimes.
yeah, because when it's like when but a lot of times, like you said, they ain't ask for my opinion, so let me shut up. They gonna have to come. Look, they gonna have to come over here and get that work. You know what I mean? But
Listen, because let me tell you something. Some it's just not for everybody, and I get it. I get
mm,
it. Many of us don't realize that we are running off for forced mental programs. We don't know that our thoughts leads to our feelings leads to our emotions leads to our actions, and our actions leads to our what? Our
our reality,
reality that we're
our
creating.
reality,
And so when we say emotions, it's like, oh, women are more emotional than men, and you're angry, you bitter, you're so
right?
emotional. Well, sometimes the cynical part of me was like, that's not what it means.
Yeah, that's not.
It's not what it
I
means.
mean, 'cause if that was the case, it wouldn't be so many brothers locked up right now for acting up
My
emotional.
goodness, that's not what
You know
it
what I mean?
means.
So,
Oh my goodness. Sometimes I'll be
yo,
like, Venus, walk away.
yeah.
Just, you
Sometimes
know,
the battle ain't yours.
the battle isn't mine, and neither and listen, I'm still on my self-mastery journey, but I'm not gonna act like she ain't still there. Like, I embrace
Yeah,
all of me's.
yeah.
What
Oh, it
they used
comes
to
out
call in the
sometimes.
past, Sybil.
Cause guess what? I'm real petty sometimes. And I be want to say some shit. Sometimes I should be like, nah,
I be like,
let me
that's not
chill.
nice, Venus. Like, listen, when you're
Let me chill.
aware, listen, chill, because I be like, you are not that idiotic.
Mhm.
And that's the nicer word that I just fathomed up on the fly. You can't be that idiotic. Like, and you're spewing this with your whole chest and breast sticking out, like, oh God, I'm right on top
Some
of the
people are
hill,
though.
when you have no idea. And so self-mastery is about that. And you can still have fun. You can still embrace. Remember, your perspective is everything. It don't have to be hard. It do not have to be complicated. It really don't. It can be as simple is and does. We make it overly complicated. We make it overly stressful, right?
Right.
Because we lack the understanding that we need. Let me tell you something. When you understand self-mastery a lot better, it don't matter what happens in your life. It don't. You may be still feeling a little sadness, a little anger, a little frustration, but guess what, baby? You still simultaneously is going to have a certain core frequency of bliss enjoy, because you know that storm is not coming to destroy you. It is coming to uplift you, bring you up a little higher so you can gain a broader advantage and perspective on you and your life. If you continually stay on the ground, stay surface level, stay vibrating within your first, second, and third chakra, you will never get to see the advantage point to see all of the ins and outs and pitfalls and the twists and turns and holes and detours. You would never see this. Just think of
Right.
an android, right? Who you think can see, what android you think can see better, have an advantage, have a better advantage point? The android that is stationed ground level, or the android that is able to fly above, right? And so this
The
is what
one that
self
always have the
mastery.
highest perspective.
Listen, high
Let me put that
yourself,
down
lower
right there.
side. You it's but so much you can see from ground level. It's but so much you can see from ground level. But when you get to higher ground, baby, those of you who think there's an actual enemy out there, you can see the enemy coming from miles away. You can see a broken, destroyed bridge from miles away. You can see them from miles away. You can see the pitfalls from miles away. You can see all of these things, but when you're on the ground level and your focus and your intention is everything physical, guess what? You're going to constantly self destruct. Because as living organisms, your primary function is to elevate, expand, mature, grow. Because if you're not expanding, you are self destructing. And that you can take to the bank.
Yep.
Just do the research on your own. It's you're going to be doing one or the other, whether you know it or not. Does it matter? So the best thing you can do is know it. So all of these things that you want to do, all of these beautiful essences that you want to adopt and embody, you will begin to know them when you understand these things on a deeper level. Babe, when I tell you, you'll be able to attract whatever and whoever you desire. And then I'll tell you a little secret. Once you reach a certain level, you don't even want half of the people, places, and things that you once desired previously. You be like, what the fuck
I'm
was I
laughing because
fighting
that's so.
for?
I'm laughing because that's so damn true. Because, like, man, I swear, you get to a certain level, you be looking back at people like, I don't know what the hell I was thinking. Like,
Like
man,
chase money,
yeah,
chase
and it
the
don't even be
bag.
no
You
shade,
want me to stress myself? You
right?
want me to bother myself? You want me to be bothered? You want me to chase money? You want me to be enslavement? You want me to report to who? I served my time in the military. And let me tell you something, I got in trouble a lot. Because I'm like, I'm grown. I don't care what symbol you got on your damn chest or on your arm. You're not about to tell me what to do. Right? I got in trouble a lot. I was always rebellious against systems, especially that wasn't natural. I didn't know it then. But the more you learn what self mastery is, you'd be like, why the hell was I chasing him? Why was
Mm-hmm.
I chasing her? Why did I want him so? Why did I listen to these people? Why was I doing this all my life?
Right.
Why was I treating him or her like that? Why was I arguing with him or her or about this or about that? When we talk about peace, when we talk about protecting your peace, when we talking about really vibrating on the frequency of infinite divine love, oh, there's no comparison. There's no comparison. And so this is important. Come on, Bleak. What you got? I
Yeah.
know you holding something over
Well,
there. I know
I,
you holding something.
I
I
really,
know
I'm
you
just gonna,
holding something.
I'm just gonna go pretty much based off a lot of things that you already done hit on, but
That.
with this right here, I did want to touch on like the why of our patterns because I think the why of our
Mm-hmm.
patterns and you are the creator of your reality from this slide, right?
Facts.
So we get into it with this. So, have you ever read this book here, Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill?
I haven't, but I came
It's
across
a
it. So I came across it some time ago. And I read the summary of it, but I haven't read the book. But I've
Yeah,
read
it's an excellent.
Think and Grow Rich.
You're right, right. So the author of Think and Grow Rich, he wrote this book called
Hmm.
Outwitting the Devil, and this book was very controversial at the time. I believe it was written in 1938. I believe. Don't quote me on that. But however, um, reading it, I read this book maybe 7, 8 years ago, maybe a little longer than that. But however, whatever, But in this book, one thing that kind of stood out to me was this certain chapter about hypnotic rhythm and the why of our patterns, right? So
Right.
going back to what you said, as soon as you said the why of our patterns, boom, it made me
Yes.
think of this, right?
Hmm.
So in this, it says, and Outwitting the Devil, Napoleon Hill talks about hypnotic rhythm as this kind of cycle or pattern that our minds can get stuck in. It's like when
Hmm.
we keep doing the same things over and over, almost on autopilot without
Right.
really thinking about it, whether they're helping us or not. It's like being stuck in a rut,
Hmm.
where our actions and thoughts just keep going in the same direction without us even realizing it. And another, I guess, sub part of this chapter is drifting and people becoming
Hmm.
drifters, which he touches on, which kind of makes it brings it kind of full circle. And I realized that not only myself at the time, but a lot of
Hmm.
people get caught up in this state of being in hypnotic rhythm and drifting.
Yes.
And so let me get to like the definitions and to kind
I
of get
like
people
that. It make a lot of sense. That
right.
reminds
But
me of neuroscience,
oh yeah,
neurotransmitters,
he was
getting into
definitely
the why.
man, he's really deep in that stuff, and that's why he was able to write the book Think and Grow Rich. Because once I
Mhm.
realized, I said, oh yeah, he's just on on that psychology level of getting inside the mind. So let me tell you first about this book that I'm not going to try to ruin it for you guys, but and it's for you guys to I will suggest it's a great read, right? Because a lot of people get spooked by the title, like Outwitting the Devil. That's some man. Listen,
There goes
go
that
get
perception.
yeah, go get this book. If I'm trying to tell you, go get this book and read it. Is only going to help you. So what he kind of
Yes.
goes into, he says he was in Washington D.C. because what he was doing for what is it for Think and Grow Rich, he would go around and
Hmm.
interview some of the most prestigious people at that time, whether it was presidents, business owners, whatever. He'd go have a talk with them. So he said one day he went to, I think he said it was the at the Lincoln Memorial in Washington D.C. I believe it was
Hmm.
the Lincoln Memorial in Washington D.C. He said there he met the devil. Right now, it's up to you to believe if he met the actual devil or did he meet someone that said he was the devil, or did he meet or did he like not meet anyone and thought he was talking to the. It's up to your own interpretation of that, right? But what he did say, this conversation, this whole book is based on this conversation. And so he was asking the devil pretty much, how do you get so many people to go about life? And how do you have so many people like under your control? And he was like, pretty much with a technique called hypnotic rhythm. And he will have these people become drifters, right? So basically he was like, he put them under a spell and have you doing the same things every single day, not pretty much unconsciously, because once I got you doing that,
Hmm.
everything becomes a habit, and once these things become habit, it become who you are, that's your
Yes.
destiny, pretty
Yes.
much,
It
right?
becomes your
So
identity.
right. So and he was hitting on so, I mean, the book is deep, trust me. But anyway, so hypnotic rhythm, right? It
Hmm.
refers to the subconscious pattern of cycle of thought and behavior that individuals fall into, often without conscious awareness. And it goes into like the power of habit, repetition, and the impact on success, right?
Hmm.
He said he believes that understanding and controlling one's hypnotic rhythm is crucial for achieving success. By constantly directing thoughts and actions towards positive goals, individuals can reshape their subconscious patterns to align with their aspirations, right? Now, understand what he was saying was this is what the devil uses to do the opposite. But he pretty much saying you can use the same technique to pretty much use it for your own good. You know what I mean? So,
Hmm.
but drifting. So you could be a positive or a negative drifter, but really drifting is it has more of a negative connotation to it. But drifting refers to the state of being carried along by external forces or circumstances without conscious or control of direction. Here's the keys to that. What happens with a lot of people become drifters is when you are controlled by outside thoughts that's not your own, outside programs that's not your own. So when we talk about mastery yourself, the only program you should be on is your own program. Because if you're on anything outside of self, is not it, you're pretty much on someone else's program. Therefore, how could you master yourself if you're pretty much going by the rules of someone else? Now, I'm not saying be off the hinge with life and go do your own thing at all times, but just understanding that if you're following someone's own pattern of, okay, do this job, you do this, and go to school and learn this without learning yourself, then therefore you'll fall into that drifting aspect. You'll fall into that job you don't like. You'll fall into that relationship you don't want. You'll fall into certain patterns that is not conducive to your growth, pretty much, right? So that's pretty much where master yourself comes in to play with understanding that, right? And going back to what you said on the last slide, where you talked about, you're the creator of your reality, right? And here's the thing that people need to understand. Um, we are gods, you are gods. And that's not to say that we are the Almighty God. It's not that. But I got two examples. One is from Psalm 82:6, right? It says this verse underscores, it says, you are gods, you are all sons of the Most High. And it says this verse underscores the belief in the inherent dignity and spiritual significance of human beings in the eyes of God. It suggests that humans have a special status as part of God's creation, with a capacity for divine qualities such as wisdom, compassion, and righteousness. The understanding encourages re- uh, reverence for all human life and a recognition of the sacredness inherent in each individual, right? So, with that, it's just giving us the understanding and the abilities to create our own reality. So, again, going back to who we are, um going back to self, mastering self, right? So, okay, I got you. Um, but also the self, the Atman is Brahman. This is um um from Hinduism, right? So when the Upanishad or Atman is Brahman, it's suggesting a profound realization. The individual soul is ultimately identical to the ultimate reality. This concept implies that the true essence of each individual is divine and interconnected with the universal consciousness. In other words, there's no fundamental difference between the individual self and the ultimate reality. They they are ultimately one and the same. This realization is central to the spiritual journey in Hinduism, and it emphasizes the unity of all existence in the pursuit of self-realization or enlightenment, right? So basically, we are again a part of um a connectedness with all things, universal consciousness. This is where this comes into play, that we are all one, right? And we cannot be separate from that reality. You know what I'm saying? So that's what that pretty much brings me to. So once you understand that we are gods and we are all divine beings, and we have this innate power to create our own reality, it gives us permission to go out
Testing,
and be.
testing.
I can hear you. You there, you good. So basically now we're gonna get into mastery of self-restraint, right? Now, here's a big one, right? For a lot of us, for a lot of people, right? Mastery of self-restraint. Now, this goes into, let me see, this goes into diet, this goes into addictions, this goes into our sexual desires, this goes into a lot of different things. So, self-restraint is like navigating through treacherous waters with a steady hand. It involves taming cravings, desires, and addictive tendencies. Balancing impulse and control is crucial. So that's another thing. Like if we could try to control our impulses, where no matter what they
Mm-hmm.
may be, that's imperative to self mastery. Channeling emotions and impulses into growth. Now, you touched on that a little bit earlier,
Mm-hmm.
in the beginning of this, but a lot of people don't understand. Like when you got to channel your emotions,
Yes.
um,
Because
understanding that,
emotions
like,
are energy and flow. It's motion, it's energy in motion. That's what emotions are. And sometimes we speak about the physicalities, the physical aspects of emotions, but we're not really getting into
Right.
the core of what emotions are and the chemicals, right? This is where you get into biology. This is where you get into neuroscience, right? There's chemicals that are being released in your body that affects your emotions. So
Right.
I
And
share,
you
I
know
like
what?
that.
Now, look, and speaking of which is funny, if I love having these type of conversations and going through stuff like this, because I talked to a brother of mine that me and him had a little beef. It wasn't even nothing serious. That's the thing that was
Hmm.
so it was, but he's a hothead, right? He's just like you just go there. So
Listen,
we was talking,
we all know high heads. We
right?
all
But
know high heads.
we was talking earlier. I was in the grocery store and I was picking up some stuff that I was supposed to cook tonight, but I'm not, right? But anyway, so we get to talking. He was like, "Yeah, man, I, when I go through certain things, like I don't even I only know one emotion. That's just anger. I just go straight to anger." I said, "But
Mm,
you got to understand, for us as being men, when you go straight to anger, you know the ramifications of that. A lot of times, things that we do in anger, we can't take back. You know what I mean? Because
you're
especially
right. You can't
anger
undo what
blind,
you done. You cannot undo
yeah,
what you done.
especially out of anger. Like a lot of people make rash decisions out of anger, and they say things out of anger. They do things out of anger. And I'm just glad for me being the type of person that I am, that I was able to say, you know what, man, the shit that we was, I
You
guess he
you
was
can't
mad
keep
at me
it.
about.
You can't keep excusing yourself. That's you cannot keep excusing yourself and using
Right.
these justifications because it's only hurting you. This, oh well, I'm only human. That's a big one. I'm only
Exactly.
human.
Exactly.
That's a big one.
Not for sure.
We make mistakes. Everybody make mistakes. Nobody's perfect.
Right.
We're all
And this dude,
human.
this my homeboy. He older than me, right? And I'm like, bro, you kind of way older than me too. He's
Shit,
still
that
a
don't
good
matter.
dude. It don't. But you would think that because someone is older, they have more wisdom,
More
and
maturity.
yeah, they're more maturity. But like I said, me knowing him for as long as I've been knowing him, it's like I know him better,
Yes.
than what was said and what was done and all
Hmm.
that. So it was kind of thing. I was like, bro, I'm not tripping off that. Like I wasn't tripping off nothing that was said.
Right.
The energy that was exchanged. It's whatever, right?
And
But
then you don't know, and also bleak before you continue. Um, self mastery when you're embarking on a self mastery journey, when you're dealing with relations, right? In the first relationship, the most imperative and important one is with yourself, right? That's the most vital relationship you can have, is with yourself. But also being able to manage, understand what emotions are, right? Energy, emotion, and being able to articulate yourself and conversate with
right,
other people, right? Having eat that emotion, the knowledge of emotional, the information of what emotions are, pardon me, and then being able to identify, right, and be aware when you're about to go off the hinge, because when you have an emotional connection with someone, right, a deep emotional connection, they're going to affect you in more ways than a person that you don't really have emotional connections with, right?
right, exactly,
And so we have to be mindful, and this is why people sometimes people they get cut real deep, right, by the people we love, and then we fill ourselves with such anger and bitterness and contempt, and then the next thing you know, we're cursing ourselves, we're speaking spells on ourselves. You know what I'm saying? It's like love over
absolutely.
loyalty, loyalty over love. We say stupid shit like that, right?
Right,
That's a
right.
huge thing, right? And that, I know, like, because I mentor men who are behind the wall, right? And so
Mhm.
that's a big saying. I'm like, my goodness, my heart sometimes drops and sinks, right? I feel, because I'm like, no, you can have
Right,
both, but
right,
because of the conditioning, and because people that they thought was their family, friends, and so close, and they loved them, they got hurt so much. Now they like, you know what? Fuck love, just loyalty. And it's like, no,
right, 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 right.
what do you
And I
mean?
understand, yeah, and I understand it too.
I get
You
it. I
know,
get it. I get it. I get
but
it.
that's what it comes down to. So self mastery leads to inner peace, resilience, and fulfillment.
Yes,
And
it
that's what it
does.
comes down to, is that once we get to a point where we can master ourselves, master our emotions, master um the hypnotic rhythm, not drifting, master the emotions of not doing, saying, acting out on certain things just because we we're in that emotion of anger or fear
Yes,
or
yes,
whatever it is. So
yes.
mastering your emotions is probably the most vital thing when it comes to self mastery.
I agree.
Because your emotions is nothing. Now I always tell people this: it's two things, right? Your emotions is nothing more than a barometer
Mhm,
of what you are thinking. Meaning, whatever you're feeling in the moment, check your thoughts.
mhm.
What are you thinking about? You know what I mean? So it's just a measure of what you're thinking. So if you want to change the way you feel, you got to change the way you think. And also,
Ashe.
you can't change no situation that you may find yourself in unless you check your emotions first.
Mhm.
So a lot of times we might find ourselves in, particular situations, our emotions are running high. And if you want the outcome to be different than this emotion will lead to, then you got to check that emotion. You got to check that. You got to check
Yeah.
yourself, right?
You know something that I taught my young guys, right? I have three boys, well, young men now. I've always
Hmm.
taught them, as well as men and women that I mentor, like, don't ignore your emotions, don't ignore what you're feeling, don't ignore what you're sensing, be aware of them, right?
Right,
Acknowledge
right,
them, accept them, be accountable for them, and learn how to control them. But you will never learn to control them, right? You will never learn emotional mastery until you first are aware of all of your emotions that you experience, and especially
right.
when you experience them in certain areas. It's like, okay, that's what that it reminds me of. I'm smiling because it reminds me of those passive aggressive people that speak so eloquently and soft, and they just cut it,
Hmm.
right? But they sound so nice
Yeah,
doing it.
right,
And it's like,
right,
no,
right.
you borderline on that anger, on that anger line,
Uh-huh.
right? You got a
Right,
problem.
right, right.
But that reminds me of people who act passively aggressively, who communicate like that, who is nicely condescending, right? I
Exactly.
can't stand
Exactly.
can't
You
stand
was on
it.
point. So then this
I'm like,
last
my goodness, she's so condescending. But it's just, you just
right,
because
right,
you emphasize all of the Americanized English syllables, don't make it nice. Like, you just
right.
disrespected that young lady, right? You
Exactly.
defeminized that young lady and degraded her. And just because you said it in a nice ways,
In a
don't
nice way,
don't
right.
make it
But
unrighteous.
that's a lot
That
of people
shit
do
ain't
that.
right.
Yeah, a lot of people do that because they feel like, well, I ain't saying it in a mean way. But you know exactly the intent. See, a lot of people don't realize that
Yeah.
too. Sometimes not what you say, it's the intent behind it. And they think because they
Yes.
said it with a smile on their face that the intent wasn't felt. Nah. Nah. But mirror accountability. So this is something I want you guys to take with you and practice with, right? So this is a mirror accountability practice. It's a daily empowerment ritual. You don't have to do it every day, really. I say do it, a few times a week, a couple times a week, whatever. But the practice goes, you stand before the mirror with courage, of course, right? Confidence, but be sure to acknowledge your flaws and imperfections without judgment. Because a lot of times when we do this practice, we have a tendency to look at ourselves and then we start to beat ourselves down. You can't beat yourself down about stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. You know what I mean?
Right.
The things that, it is about accountability, but we don't
Yes, it
want
is.
to be owed a burden with the guilt of things you may have said, done. It's just
Mm-hmm.
about accountability. So embrace accountability for actions and choices, and that's what it's more so about. You want to embrace the accountability aspect to say, you know what, I did do these things, I did say these things, but by you being able to face yourself, it gives
Mm-hmm.
you the opportunity to correct those things within yourself. Because a lot of people who lack accountability, if you notice, they can't change or they are unwilling to change things about themselves. They may be hurting them. They end up hurting people around them. Therefore, their relationships suffer. The people around them, tend to not want to be around them as much. So now you become more lonely and things like that. But by doing so, you reflect on areas for improvement with honesty, no matter what it is. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? So again, you go for accountability. So now you're going to improvement. You know what I mean? These things,
Right.
But by doing so, then you're going to commit to self growth and authenticity. You know what I mean? So now you can really be true to yourself. You know, you're
Right.
going to grow and be true to yourself. But then you're going to repeat this, regularly for continuous empowerment and self discovery. So at the end of the day, you're just going to stand in front of a mirror and say, "This is who I am. These are my flaws, but this is what I come with to grow. This is what I come with to change." And just be honest with yourself. That's all it
Yeah.
really is. It's about being
Being
able to look
authentic.
in.
Yeah, being
Yeah,
authentic is so profound and so powerful. Yeah. So
yeah. Stop
I
looking in
like
the mirror and just say how cute I look. You know what I mean?
but that
Stop looking
too.
in the mirror saying, "Do I look good?"
but
Yeah, I
but
mean that
but that
as
too.
well. But see, that's the
Imagery
thing.
is
A lot of times,
important.
oh, not
Imagery
for
is
sure, for
important.
sure.
Yeah.
But
Imagery is important.
what I'm saying is, don't look in the mirror and this be all you see. You know what I mean? Sometimes you gotta look in the mirror and look beyond. You know what I'm saying?
And you know
What we
what?
see.
You know what? And that can only happen when your eyes are actually closed. This is why, and I know a lot of people, we talk about meditation, right? Right. But meditating is not only a skill set to acquire to be effective, it also have multi versions to it. Right. And one of the most profound skills and ways and practices of meditation is when you close your eyes, when you attempt to shut off your physical right senses. And visually, that's one of the most profound things, because our visual plays a lot on our mental. And so when you kind of, you shut your eyes and you kind of tune everything out, I mean, it does take
Hmm.
practice because it is a skill. That's when you really going inward, right? So, and I
Right.
think I don't think, I know you can only arrive there if you're actually learning what meditation is and the different forms of meditation, because it is really multifaceted. So I
Yeah.
great points. All of those were great points that you
To
mentioned.
meditate, you gotta go within.
It's
That's
the
what it's
only way
about.
to ascend. Hey, come on, let's say that. You see how we rhyme it? Come
Go
on, do your
within.
part. Hey,
Go
going
within so
inward.
we can ascend. No, I'm saying
Okay,
go within. All
meditation is the only way to go
right.
within if you want to ascend. Okay,
Look, y'all
bars.
got
Don't be
look, y'all
telling
done
me
got her started.
where's my deal? I want a contract. We just spit a whole bar that rhymed.
Listen. This has been a great episode. Um, we have a lot more to look. This is only getting started. It's the first season,
Yes.
so I want you guys to go on this journey. It's going to be a long journey, but it's going to be well worth it. You know what I mean? So we in this for the long haul, and we want you guys to grow with us. Go with us and grow with us. How about that? Look, more
Yeah, it's
bars.
about
Go
taking
with us
one
and grow
step
with
at
us.
a time. Go with us. Listen, where we go, we go. It's not about you or me. It's about you and I. Right. This
Yep.
is our universe. This is our beautiful planet. This is our multiverse. We really are divine, powerful beings, right? And so it's not about you or me. You know what I'm saying? When we're divided, we're powerless. When we're united, we're powerful. Hence the name You and I Verse. So just,
You and I verse.
you and I verse, you and I will verse.
Oh my God.
I ain't even have a cocktail yet.
Did you even? You must have some coffee. You had
No,
your
I
coffee.
didn't.
Oh, okay.
I had no coffee today. This
Oh
it's a
man,
natural high today.
you
I
doing
just
all
had
right?
no. I just all I had was my crystal water. That's all I had
You
was my crystal water, my
you see that?
amethyst.
That's nice. That's kind of nice right there.
Yes, it's crystals,
Man, I need
and
that. Hold
this
on, where
is
you get that from?
alkaline water, and then I'll put some sea salt. I'll not sea
That's
salt, Celtic salt. I put
I
Celtic
need
salt, and
that.
of course, I set my intention. So this is the only thing I was drinking today. Like I keep refilling
Oh,
it.
it
I
must
keep
have been you gotta drink that every day then. You know?
listen. No sugar. This I'm on high right
Nah,
now.
that
So
was a
let me
little
tell
that
you.
was a little shade. Look, that was a little shade from me and say, look, you better drink that every day. Like, nah.
You better get you some.
All right,
You
listen,
better
guys.
get
Look,
you some.
thank y'all for joining the You and Not Verse podcast. This is your boy Bleak.
Listen. Before we do that, you're gonna have to run that back. Rewind. So listen,
Look, you want to be on point, man. Come
listen, listen, Lindo. Okay, so I would like all of you to know that from moving forward, we will be coming live every Saturday evening at 7 p.m. with a masterclass, with a PSA, and it don't mean public announcement. It mean perspectives on social media, of
on.
social medias, right? So we're going to be getting into for a couple of things. It's not only going to be like in-depth teachings about self-mastery and behavioral science and metaphysics. Yeah, we're going to be getting into all of that, right? We're going to be getting into psychology, but we're also going to be discussing and giving higher perspectives on what's going on in the world, right?
Right, right.
What's going on in the world, because it matters and we can learn a lot. We can learn a lot. And hey, I feel if you want to put it out there, baby, you invited me to comment on it. So we're gonna be commenting. So look forward every Saturday. We're gonna be before you 7 p.m. and look for another amazing conversation and lesson from you and I verse.
Podcast. Yep. And we out. Hey, y'all be good till next time. All right.
Mwah.